Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 673, recorded live on Friday, April 15th. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, we were hoping to have Tolero, our producer Tolero,
I'm
join
not
us,
Tolero.
but alas, Tolero couldn't make it after all. But we do have community manager Cordovan with us.
Hello, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for having me on. Sorry, just kind of had to suddenly do a shift in the schedule, and Tolero couldn't make it. So sorry.
It happens occasionally. It's unfortunate, but we're gonna hang out. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk about DDO. We'll plug Jerry for as much information as we possibly can.
Yeah, because no one's around, it's totally okay. I could just say whatever I want. It'll be just fine. So
Yep. Anyways, we like to talk about Dungeons and Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyberears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages. At DDOcast on Twitter is the best place, as well as DDOcast.com, where we also have a calendar that I try to keep up to date and stuff like that. On the podcast this week, like I said, we've got Jerry here. Other than that, we don't really know where this is going because we're this is kind of a hard.
maybe we should just mention for the brand new player that I am the community manager for Standing Stone Games.
Yep.
So yep.
So
I do know some things that I can talk about.
Yeah, but you don't have the permissions as many permissions to talk as freely.
Yeah, I'm going to say there will be less news out of my conversation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I do have a few things I know that we can talk about.
Yep.
So
we'll get into what game news we do have. Of course, Lamannia was up this week. We were, of course, on Lamannia earlier this week. Really short turnaround for shows this week of 3 days, just because that's how it panned out. Yeah, so there was is it actually still up? Or is it about to come
it is
down?
for about another hour here.
Yeah.
So just about closed, but it has been going on since that episode on Tuesday for the subsequent couple of days.
Yeah, so there was supposed to be a content preview on Monday. That got shifted to Tuesday because SSG had some technical difficulties.
I think we've said what it was, right?
Yeah, lack of
we
power.
lost power to the office, and unfortunately, there are enough machines in the office that need to be accessed to do things like, check out a preview build where you're going to be debuting the Tabaxi, that we couldn't, literally could not do it from home. And so there were some things we had to wait for, and that just unfortunately delayed the process. It was pretty significant, but we were just on track. But then all of a sudden, all of our preview plans, which we had worked pretty hard to try to get ready for, ended up kind of at the last second having to be booted for another day, essentially dayish. So
Yep. So Lamannia got kicked back to Wednesday to today, as well as DDO.com got its facelift. I think it's more than a facelift, which launched
No, it is
yesterday.
a completely new website, top to bottom, new content management system, new platform, new everything. The only thing that is the same is the forums.
For now, is my understanding.
For now, yeah.
Right. So there's plans to revamp the forums as well.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do it for a while now, but we haven't yet gotten to the point that we can sort of announce a public schedule for it. I think my ballpark would be maybe later this year, something like that. But we'll see where we end up falling on that.
Can you just kind of give a flyby of like why revamp DDO.com? What are the goals with doing that?
Yeah, sure. So the old website really dates to about 2013. And that is the last time that the core DDO.com website got really a content management system facelift. It used a content management system that was not bad for the time and had a lot of custom sort of stuff inserted into it by the then Warner Brothers Games / Turbine web development team. And, you know, as we transitioned away from that into Standing Stone Games and everything, it ended up basically orphaning a lot of the kind of systems that were in place. And it was old and it just wasn't always working very well, especially on the Lord of the Rings online side, where we've had some specific website issues that thankfully DDO.com has not had. Um, and overall, it just was a system that really needed to go in many ways. So what we were able to do is update it to a modern content development platform that is similar to ones that are used throughout Daybreak. No big surprise there that we would want to, you know, take a look at what tools are already being used and see where we can find alignment there, right? So that worked out pretty good, and so we really have spent. I mean, if you really want to look at the process in terms of time, from time it went to yes, we're going to do this. We're doing this. Let's file a task and all that sort of thing. To now, it's been pretty close to a year in the works, and there was a lot to address associated with it, and it's all working really well. And frankly, the new DDO.com debuted very well. We had a couple issues for a couple of hours, and that's about it. So it's been working very well so far, fingers crossed. And it's really nice for us too, because I think if you went to the old DDO.com, it kind of looked like it was from 2013. Let's be honest, and did not really have some functionality that we want. So the new one, it's much easier to find the release notes. They're kind of in a nice card format, which is a little more modern and up to date. We have promotional kind of material that we can utilize, space and all that sort of thing. Some of the formatting and just general readability is a little bit better. It's mobile friendly. A few things like that that really are going to be nice. And then on my side, as I'm working on articles for the website, they're frankly much easier. So let's just say that you all of a sudden dialed back the clock and started using a version of, oh, I don't know, some office software that might be prevalent throughout offices around the world. Uh, and then went back to the, let's say, 2012 version of it and tried to use it in 2022, you might know a little bit about what the experience has been like in recent years in terms of publishing perhaps to the website and things like that, meaning totally doable, but with a lot of gotchas and things that really require institutional knowledge to be able to navigate around. And so it's really nice to have a new platform and things like that to go on. And I think you're going to see just much better looking articles with more video, more imagery, just all sorts of nice byproducts of what we're doing here. Also, I finally aligned the release notes. Um, Fingers crossed, let's say there was a few that I might have missed between about 2018, 2020, but for the most part, I think I've dated them all appropriately. So that the date is the actual date of the release, going all the way back to Module 0 in 2006. And the URL is structured in such a way that you should be able to scroll through them fairly quickly by changing the numbers that are in the URL. Also, when you go to DDO.com, you should be able to see them more easily and access what you're looking for. They should appear by uh, newest to oldest, and a few other nice things as well. We have a nice guide section now. We have a nice news section now, and just a whole bunch of features. A video section that is currently pretty empty because it's not really been something we focused on the old DDO.com, but in the coming months will become much more active as we have cool videos and things that we're going to start rolling out onto the website in addition to YouTube and things like that. So
Yeah, the watch tab is currently the Salt Marsh promo video and an interview with Ed Greenwood, which, if you haven't seen, was kind of
yeah, I
entertaining.
might actually need to do something there. There should at least be a couple more trailers I can populate into there. I'll take a look at that after the show.
Yeah, the look is, so it's kind of funny. As a user, the website doesn't look like vastly different. Like, there's still the same art and color tones and stuff, but the layout is, once you kind of start scrolling down, is very different, and has kind of some nice options for filtering, kind of uh, messages and stuff that's being highlighted, which is kind of fun. Uh, as well as some nice share buttons, which I don't think were as prevalent before. Um,
Yeah, that's true. I think that was just part of the basic platform.
yeah.
That was not necessarily specifically designed for this website. Although it is nicer to be able to quickly get to the official channels if you're, especially if you're discovering them maybe for the first time.
Though I think the big thing that people are probably going to notice is the mobile part, right? Because 2013, I'm trying to remember my tech history here. Uh, is not a tech head, but 2013, that was not mobile websiting was not as big. Kind of a lot. That was almost 10 years ago.
And it's not that there hasn't been any work done on the website since 2013. I'm sorry if I gave that impression. I mean, there has been web development work over the years, plenty of it, but at a core kind of fundamental, you know, the bones of the thing, it really dates back to that age. So
The work has been along the lines of like doing work on the house and keeping it propped up and not falling over, and this is a build a new house.
yeah,
buy it or buy a new
totally.
house kind of thing. Yeah. Sure.
There we
Let's
go. I'm back. Sorry.
It's okay. Uh yeah, so that was kind of the a big part of this weekend. I think a big reason why you have been kind of busy and we haven't had very many chronicles and as many screenshots of the week of late. Um
Yeah, it that has been part of the reason. I mean, there are other parts of it as well that I'm working towards. Some of the guide writing, for example, one of the areas that I will admit we've not quite done as robust a job of as we could have is in our guide writing. When, especially as the events get updated over the years, it's sometimes been a real struggle to maintain proper information on those pages. And so one of the big things I'm doing here in 2022 is as we get closer to these big milestones, I'm releasing guides for this thing. And these, in some cases, will be ground up rewrites, or in some cases, the first time we've had one on our website. And that's kind of part of the overall process I'm doing here for both games, frankly, to get both websites at a basic level. In terms of some of that community information, really at a new ground level for 2022, so that we can move forward with a whole kind of a nice evergreen page where whatever events going on, whatever we want to promote, whatever people want to find out more about, they can find it on the DDO.com, and it'll be up to date and accurate.
so those were kind of the big things this week. We already covered the release notes from update 52 patch 2. Wait, 53.2? 53.2.
Yep.
We did that earlier this week. So we won't be going through that too much today. But Jerry, is there what can you tell us about kind of the cadence to get to that launching on live? We're gonna see it on Lamannia again. Is there kind of a rough time frame ish? And then if you have any maybe information kind of extrapolating beyond that you can share about Isle of Dread, maybe?
I can't announce, like, say, when a pre-purchase might be available for Isle of Dread. Clearly, that's coming in the relatively near future because, of what we've said for the timing of Isle of Dread. But I can't announce that today. I can say that we do have another Lamannia planned for next week. Um, my expectation would be that would be live to the public by, let's say, no later than early afternoon on Tuesday.
If the
And it,
power stays on.
yeah, yeah, and it may actually, it's currently actually scheduled for Monday. And so that is a little bit of a date earlier than usual, but I do see that we have a build we're specifically looking to put together, kind of a new baseline build or whatever, later in the week. So maybe it actually is potentially going to be on Monday of next week. That would be I would expect Tabaxi iteration and perhaps even some of the first look at other aspects of Isle of Dread. Uh, we have currently on our calendar, our Lamannia calendar will often frequently change as the actual process of getting, a game build out to the public and then out to the live game servers, right? Actually unfolds. But so next week we have one. The week after we do not. The week after that we do. And that's about as far as I want to commit us to at this point. We do actually have, I would say, yeah, that's what we want to commit to is probably the three Lamannias there. There could maybe be a fourth if needed, but I don't think it probably will be, and I wouldn't want to commit to that. But I think it's an option if we might need to. But we are planning to do three, so the one this week, the one next week, and then one a couple weeks after that.
And is the plan ish to kind of focus on Tabaxi and the pre-order stuff, or are you talking about incorporating more of the Isle of Dread stuff that would be coming even beyond update 52 patch or 53 patch 2?
Let me check something real quick.
Put him on the spot here. Great.
Yeah, I do think we will see some aspects of Isle of Dread outside, in terms of actual content of Isle of Dread. On Lamannia.
So it sounds like there's going to be some content we're going to be seeing
Yep.
on Lamannia the next couple iterations that we should expect to not be in update 53 patch 2. And
Well, I don't know if I really want to commit to that.
sure.
I don't know that that's going to be accurate. I suspect you may see a couple bits that you haven't seen this week, next week. But I would think it may be that we will have our first preview of formal Isle of Dread, perhaps after the pre-purchase announcement has been made. And so I don't know specifically where on that timeline. Yes, now you're seeing Isle of Dread's going to fall. Um, in many ways, what this week is an Isle of Dread preview because it's Tabaxi and everything, right? So in terms of the build we're actually working to release, it's the same. It's update 54 here. So, but I can't commit to where
Sure.
the pre-purchase is going to fall compared to the Lamannia schedule I just stated.
Right. What else can we talk about with are you getting excited for Isle of Dread?
Oh, are you kidding me? Did you? I loved it this week. It was awesome. What did you think of the new look of the test dojo? Did you like it?
Uh
It definitely made for cooler looking screenshots of Tabaxi. I can say that much with that nice Isle of Dread backdrop and everything like that. I thought it looked pretty sweet.
you talking about the part where you first go in and there's like the Isle of Dread behind?
Yeah.
I found it was fine, but I found it to be kind of cramped because you couldn't really go over, like there wasn't a lot of space to maneuver around in.
Right. Yep.
And you also had like all of the NPCs, so in terms of like getting really nice screenshots, I almost feel like it needed to have more of a ledge space you could like go out into and kind of get away from the walls and the NPCs.
There was a time where it did have a little more ledge space than what we ended up going out this week with. I don't know that we're going to be able to see some iterations like I don't think by next week, but it's on our agenda to maybe better utilize that space for previews so that you get where you want to be, but also give people an opportunity so that not all their images have to do with that kind of darker brown and all that other kind of stuff, right? We want to give people some opportunity to take cooler looking screenshots more easily in the test dojo as well.
It almost needs like a photo booth with like some really nice lighting. I found out I was looking at some of the picture the stuff and I was like, oh, let me go to somewhere where there's actually some lighting so I can see this not in shadow.
Well, and that was part of why that was the kind of brighter outdoor space there, right?
Right. Um, So yeah, that was kind of it was okay. It was just a little cramped for me to answer your question. Like there wasn't a lot of room to maneuver around and find some open space to really get solid pictures. I think I ended up redoing a video for looking at the pre-order stuff where I just did it in the market on one of the bridges because the light, it's really bright and there's a little bit of space to run straight without, so you could get the running action of the dinosaur mounts.
In a perfect world, it would be a nice bit of Isle of Dread, and you could run around
Mm-hmm.
defeating monsters that are just specifically randomly placed there for the preview, right? And so you could get some cool combat footage and all that other kind of stuff. Maybe we'll get there someday. Maybe we will, but we'll see. We'll see.
Change the DPS test kobolds to random like, oh, we're having a new monster. We're gonna reskin the test kobold as this monster.
Oh, I bet that would be way more difficult than it sounds.
Oh, I'm sure. It usually is, right? It's like like, for example, hey, we're gonna revamp DDO.com. That'll be easy, right? It's not that hard to
Yeah,
build a website.
yeah.
People do it from home all the time.
Well, it's true. We do live in 2022 where you can, in fact, do that. Generally at a corporate level, though, especially when you're dealing with like account management systems, it
Oh
is
yeah,
much more than that, right?
oh yeah. Uh, I imagine anything that involves like, hey, we're going to take payment, automatically becomes exponentially more complicated. At least based on the
Yep.
number of like, hey, so our account got hacked, and your information got exposed, and here's 2 years of free
Well,
identity
I
theft
mean, let
monitoring.
me let me stop you there, though. That is not actually a
Right.
concern. All that security level is not running through
Sure.
DDO.com when it comes to like the store and market and all that sort of thing, right? So
Right.
that's separate. Um, but like there are some things like say the game launcher news feed still actually is one of the only bits that's still running kind of on some of that old tech, and eventually that's going to be going away as well. But for now, because it's uh, got some specific RSS feed functionality we want for the game launcher, um, it's still just kind of sitting there. So none of the URLs of that either need to change, which I guess is good news there. But there are definitely some things like integration into the or not really integration, more smoothly sending you into the DDO market and such is certainly a big part of the website redesign as well.
Yep.
Oh, and game download. Basic game downloads, game account sign up, all that other kind of stuff, right?
I mean, if you want people to play your game, making it easy for them to download it and play it is probably important, right?
Yeah, we still have a lot that we can do there, and I think that that's something that we've been working on and will be continuing to work on here in the future.
Do you? One of the things I was going to ask Solero, maybe you could answer. Do you have an idea what the inspiration for designing Tabaxi was, besides pen and paper?
I think that we largely did want to make sure it was authentic to the D&D experience. So I don't know that I would say we had a ton of outside influence. I think we had a lot to delve into when it came to how Tabaxi has been in Dungeons and Dragons, over the years. So I think we largely leaned pretty heavily into the IP as we were working to design the Tabaxi. Um, our animators, worked to then integrate it as they had done with Shifter and such into the existing game world and all that sort of thing. And that's part of what this week's feedback is about.
Yeah, you mentioned they're looking at doing 3 iterations of Lamannia. I'm guessing that's because introducing a new race is. I think I heard some. Remember hearing something like there's like 150 animations for a race for both genders or something like that.
That could be that sounds accurate to me. Yeah.
So there's a lot of, and even in this Lamannia build, there was a note it's like, hey, so be on the lookout for animations that look silly or
Oh, and
aren't
we
working
found one.
right.
Yeah, we've got a ladder animation bug, frankly, right now that we're working through.
A ladder bug, huh? You don't say.
I know, right? No, but you know what? There have been times in the past where I've actually put out a little bit of a bounty on that thing, saying submit an actual bug report with an actual look of an actual ladder that is actually stuck on your character and give us all that info. And the result tends to be pretty close to zero reproducible bugs. So, I'm not saying that we've solved the ladder bug. I'm sure it's out there. What I'm saying is that if you still want to argue, if you still want to throw that in my face in 2022, you better be willing to back it up with a look.
Location, a screenshot, a video, all that stuff. What race? What were you holding? What where was the moon? All that stuff.
Yeah, well, it doesn't need to be specifically though, because fixing a ladder bug is an individual task on an individual location in the game world. It generally involves like having to tweak some physics very briefly, like boundary boxes and things. We need to have a loc, but not just the loc, but also like say the race of your character, how much you've reincarnated, because remember you get a little bit taller and stuff like that, right? We need, and all that impacts it. So we need to know that information. So please do submit one of those if you do encounter one. But I don't think we have many. I'm willing to say I don't think we have many left. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and now we're going to get a flood of them. But gosh, do we really have a lot of ladder bugs left? Maybe in older content.
I will say that just to make clarification, when you say you're not saying look, you're saying location.
Yes, location /LOC
Yeah.
into the game chat.
Just because I could hear it myself. Like he's saying look. No, he's saying look.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Location. Yes.
Just want to make sure that people get that straight. So
maybe we're now going to get hit with a whole bunch of ladder bugs, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's fine because that'll give us the actual reproducible information then that we can hopefully use to fix those.
I think this is the first time I've heard give us the how many times he's reincarnated along with that information. So
I assume that matters.
I don't know.
I just thought of that while I was speaking. I guess it's not like QA has said make sure that they're telling me, but I would anything that's going to impact, say, your avatar boundary boxes and things like that is relevant to, and generally trying to reproduce the bug.
Sure. Anything else to talk about game news wise before we get into sales and?
No,
Fun
not
stuff.
really. Speaking of sales, though, I guess that's almost game newsy, right? Because we got that Tome of Destiny +1 Feywild out now.
Yep. So the Tome of Destiny +1, the Feywild version, is permanently available in the store. Which I think is one of the last things that was kind of unique to the Ultimate Bundle, or the bundles that wasn't individually available. The tuning fork being the only other thing I can think of. Well, I guess the unicorns.
Yeah, I was going to say the mounts, right?
Yeah.
But I would say this as well. We are going to be working in the near future. I don't know which release it's going to end up in, but in the near future, we should see a character UI adjustment, a character sheet UI adjustment to help you better understand which tomes you've used. And which ones you haven't. Instead of just like say giving you a number of tomes used or something like that, it's going to say you've used the Feywild one and the other one and the other one, whatever, something. And that actually that project is in the works. I know someone was working on it this week. So
That sounds fun. Also available through April 21st is a +2 racial action point tome, along with the +1 to +2 upgrade tomes, which you can get there. And then the sales for the week, Make Your Mark on the World is the title of the sales. It's 20% off of select marks, crafting success boosters, Kenneth essences, and collectible crates through April 21st.
I want to say we were being conservative in our wording, and so that's why we said select marks. When I actually go into the store, I see what the Kenneth, the other two. There's three of them. Those 3 marks are all on sale, and I don't think there's any more than 3. So I think we can probably ditch the select on the marks. But it was in there for this week's copy, so I just went with it.
The coupon code is a free medium Slayer count boost with the coupon code SLAYIT now through April 21st. And then the bonus days for the weekend are double daily dice XP, which is kind of an oldie but a goodie. So.
It never hurts.
I don't know though.
Actually, it does when on Wednesday night you used your gold roll. Then it hurts, but
I mean, I get one every day now, so again.
Yeah, right.
So.
Right. Oh, good point. Excellent point. Thank you.
It's more the game mocking me of Wednesday night roll 100, and the next day it's like, hey, daily dice XP. And also give me a mount that I already have, not the nightmare mount or the scarecrow. Just something it's already given me. Or the one that was really brutal was a while back. I think I've actually done it like 2 or 3 times now. We get like a 97 or 98, and I get a flawless dragon shard. Like I don't need that. Very disappointing. Take that feedback back to the people who make those charts. Well, flawless dragon shard should not be a 90 high 90s gold roll.
There's always room to work on the daily dice tables. I think that's the reality of that area, right? Because as the game changes and players' needs change, their wants on that table are going to change along with it. Things that are brand new, in 2019 are less new in 2022, etc. And so there's always going to be a push and pull on trying to hit that sweet spot on the daily dice tables. In addition to carving out the time to work on those tables, which is often quite significant in terms of itemization work for a specific developer who would be tasked to do it. So, it's one of those things we want to make it attractive. We definitely want to make it attractive, and we're always going to kind of, I think, get some negative feedback on it, maybe. But we do want to make sure that it meets your needs sometimes, and at some point in the future, if someone really wanted to do some work to really take a top to bottom look at the daily dice table, I think we would be able to do that. So we'll see what happens in the future, but for now, I think we do want to hear about the stuff that you really don't like, but also the stuff that you really do like, because that's the stuff we want to make sure that it stays in there. So,
Dragon Shard is really the only thing that has felt off to me of late, to be honest. Other than the game mocking me, it's like, oh yeah, I finally rolled 100. Get that? No, I don't. That's not what I wanted. Stop mocking me.
Well, we just had the button of winning for free as the coupon, so
yeah. You did, but that's not the nightmare mount, and not the scarecrow, and the. I am kind of waiting for the day where that you can turn cosmetics into glamour dust and get a cosmetic that you want. I'm waiting for the day that you can do that. You can grind the horses up like that.
Oh my gosh, it gives you item paste or something like that. That would be pretty bad. That's pretty awful.
It can just be glamour dust. Doesn't have to, just throw
Patrick,
the pets.
I'm ashamed
and
of you. That's terrible. That's a terrible thought. You should not have it.
I'm just trying to get the one that I want, right? Not the one that I have 4 copies of. That's all.
Yeah, I know. We can magically bring them to their houses, and in exchange through that destination, we will receive a reward in the form of a token.
It doesn't have to be grinding. Here, I have this horse. I'm gifting you this horse, and in return, you pay me in glamour dust, and then I buy a horse from you with glamour dust. See, there's no grinding of horses at all. Very animal friendly.
Yep.
We're not even sending the horse out to pasture. We're just giving it a new home.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Community news is again sparse this week. It may not look like it, but based on the release, the dev tracker and stuff, but hard at work. New website. We were talking about this before the show, right? Like this week there were Lamannia, the website, the content creator preview, which is, I think, not, if I understand it right, is not as simple as just like flicking one extra switch. There's some extra work that goes involved there.
Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of extra work to actually deploy it, but a lot going into it to make sure that we grab as many people as want to do it. And as always, we never do. There's always people that PM me afterwards that missed it, but that's still okay because we can get you in for the next one.
Right. And so yeah, there you go. It's been a while since. You have an idea when the Chronicle's gonna make a comeback?
No, not at this point. Getting a stable and so far going well. DDO.com out the door is certainly a big part of that. But it's going to be a little while yet because I do have other tasks I'm also that are on that list to do. I would expect certainly by I would say the end of summer, and maybe before that. So
And for those who aren't maybe aware, like you do Lotro and DDO, right? Like it's
yes.
not just DDO. So
One of the tasks on the Lotra side, for example, is their release notes were not always as consistently archived in the same place. And so when we debuted the new website there, I had some access to the release notes, but I didn't go all the way back through the various places that it was located and do the same work that I did do on the DDO.com side here in recent weeks. So that's still one of the tasks that I do want to get to because I do think that's important to have a central repository of accurate release notes because it's your game's history and it's the most I guess official version of the game's history that exists really. So I
probably.
consider that to be fairly important, and so that's something that I'm going to be working on here in the next couple of weeks, specifically next week on the Lotra side. It's their 15th anniversary.
Hey,
So they've got a lot going on there too. Yeah.
fun times. Anything else we should capture before we call it a show? We covered all the basic stuff.
No, I can just say what I've been up to. I've got a character that's been running a whole bunch of the Update 53 quests, and I am looking to do some raiding incognito in the coming weeks. So I might be joining your LFM, and I'm not going to like hide it, but I'm not going to announce it either because I don't want to because I'm not that important. But also, I have been working to get a character on Orion up to level 30. The old mock duck from the DDOcast Build a Guild is actually going to experience his first epic reincarnation and true reincarnation. It's kind of an older character, but the current main, as it were, that I have on Orion, and I need to get that character into better shape. I would actually say one other thing, now that I'm thinking about it, in terms of when I get back to live streaming specifically, is I haven't really been all that happy with parts of the output that I've been able to pull off while working from home here on the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. I mean, viewers know that there have been times where I had to drop it down to 720p, and way too many times, unfortunately, where everything was running pretty well, except the game was pretty framey. And that was not how it looked on my end. And that's not really an acceptable way to broadcast the game if you're the community manager for Standing Stone Games. And so I've had to take a look at kind of how I want to broadcast and what I can do to resolve this issue before I really get back to streaming. Besides the Chronicle, that's the other sort of big bit, right? But they're related in many ways. And because I also want to take a fresh look at the Chronicle as to what it should be. And at the very least, maybe change some of the formatting of it because it was last done in 2017 by me, who had last done it in 2013 prior to that. So, uh, it's one of the things that I is on my list of things to do as well. But related to streaming specifically, I'm going to be working on either a two computer solution, so I'm playing the game on one computer and streaming on another, or I'm going to figure out some way to just get the bandwidth I need and what have you. I think though, short term for when I do one-off streams in the coming months, I may ditch YouTube for live streaming, and then upload the video as a regular video afterwards. Because one of the things I've run into at home is that it's very difficult to stream to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch simultaneously and maintain a solid upstream bandwidth connection, even if you have generally good internet in your house. And I'm pushing the limit of that too much, and that's been the cause of much of the recent sort of video issues I had on the Twitch live streams. And so I'm going to be working to do that. One way to simply solve it is to reduce a third of the weight by cutting one of the platforms. But I would still be able to do it because I could just upload it afterwards.
Yep. I just streamed to one. So much simpler. So much simpler.
I mean, not that no one watched on YouTube, but in terms of live viewership was a pretty distant third. When you combined it with post viewership, it was one of the best. But in terms of active live streaming of people who chose to go to YouTube instead of Facebook or Twitch or whatever was pretty small.
Yep. Well, hey, Jerry, thanks for joining us today. And we'll look forward to getting Tolero on the show, hopefully in the near future, and ask her all sorts of fun questions and get her to spill all the dirt that we can. And all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we will make it happen. We will make it happen. I mean, we have Isle of Dread coming out for sure. We're going to be talking to people here in the next month or so.
And we'll probably get some other devs on as well, and have all sorts of fun. It's been a while since we've had a big roundtable Ask the Devs. So
it would be. That sounds like a good plan. We should try to make that happen.
Well, hey, if you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website at DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email us at DDOCast@gmail.com. Jerry, is there anything you want to plug that... I mean, you kind of just talked about getting back into live streaming and stuff. Is there anything else you want to toss out there?
Well, yeah. Why don't we take a second to talk about D&D night? We could. There is plenty of room on D&D night right now. If you want to be a dungeon master, and if you're already doing it, I'd say this is not really for someone who wants to get started. This is for someone who already has at least a little experience and can just kind of do it on their own. If you're that person though, and you want to maybe DM on a Sunday night, we go 7 to 10 for the most part. Yeah, 7 to 10-ish every Sunday night. But in recent months, I've had to step away as part of the same thing I was just talking about. And so have a couple other people. So our calendar is pretty open right now. So there is lots of opportunity. It could just be that maybe it'll just sort of stay what it is. And as people's time changes, people will come and go and it'll be less weekly or whatever. That's fine. There's no real need for it to be anything other than what it is. But there's also lots of opportunity there, I think, right now, if you are interested. So if you are interested, I would suggest either sending an email to ddo@standingstonegames.com or hitting DDO Unlimited up on Twitter or sending me, Cordovan, a private message on the forums. Don't send me a Twitch private message. It's not gonna get. You'd be surprised. I know it makes sense to maybe do it there, but I can't. Are you kidding me? I can't keep track of all that stuff there.
Yeah, right.
So yeah. So one of those places is best.
Yep. Where am I at? So you can hit us up at DDOcast.com for our show notes, MP3s, calendar, previous shows, other fun stuff, including DDO. And hey, D&D Tabletop. We're doing some of that. Working on Tomb of Annihilation. Should have another play session next Friday, so looking forward to that. If you have a comment in this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment, or you can email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. As always, you can find us for latest cast updates on social media at DDOcast on Twitter is the best place.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on. It's been a while.
Yeah. Should really get you on a little more often. So until next time, all your attack rolls for crits, all your tests low appropriate. Have fun, and don't forget to gather for busts.